allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ready to get started. We were notified that Davies and Harms will not be with us tonight, so we got 4. Any public comment at this time? Seeing none. First item on the agenda is discussion regarding weather-related aquatic center closures. I see Brad's here. This is on the agenda. Just to inform everybody, I received a phone call on this Saturday, 15th. Is that the day of the Fit Day thing? The 15th. That afternoon, I got a phone call because the aquatic center was closed, and there was a season pass holder who was rather upset that the aquatic center was closed and wanted to know if I could explain why. And I said, well, I'm out of town, and he understood that that's not my direct responsibility, but wanted to see if I could wrangle somebody up. Doug did call him back and let him know kind of what the policies and procedures are, and that did not suffice for him, so I told him I'd put it onto an agenda for him if he wanted to have the ability to talk to you guys publicly or send along any extra comments. He's not here. He didn't send any extra comments. Brad, did you just want to talk a little bit about that day, maybe a little bit, bring everybody up to speed?
Evening. The 15th was the Fit Day. The triathlon started at 8 o'clock, went off without a hitch. It was a great time. We had 12 participants swim in our facility that participated in the triathlon. It was fun. It was good to see some people that we hadn't seen in our facility before. The triathlon got over just before 10 o'clock. After the triathlon was done that day, we opened up for business like we had planned for the day. From 10 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we only had 31 patrons. On a free admissions day. From 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we had 0 people in our facility. I had talked to Doug and said, if we don't have anybody here by 3 o'clock, we're going to shut the doors because it doesn't make any sense for us to sit around with nobody in our pool for 2 hours plus waiting for somebody to come swim. And Doug was okay with it. I guess our policy is there isn't really a set number as far as like the weather-related stuff. We had the storms come in early that morning. Some things had to get moved from outside to inside for the triathlon. But our safety concerns is if there's lightning, we have to shut down for at least 30 minutes from each time we see a bolt of lightning. At that time, it was still overcast. There was storms that were supposed to be coming our way, tracking our way. We're supposed to be through our Hampton area around 4 o'clock. They went to the south and north of us and kind of split around us. It did get sunnier a little bit, closer to 3:30ish, and so on and so forth. I talked to Doug once again. There was supposed to be more storms coming around the 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock hour. Once again, there was a little bit of lightning to the south of us around that time, but once again, I can't predict the weather. So that was kind of the scenario and the situation. I talked to the gentleman myself as well. I called him up and talked to him that day. He proceeded to not like what he heard from me as well. Once again, so that's why I directed him towards you guys once again, saying if he has any other concerns, he can bring it to you guys and you guys can discuss it. Just like today is another prime example. We didn't open today. We had to cut our swim team time short due to lightning. Storms came in and out. I was just up at the facility just a little while ago. It's still 78 degrees outside, but there's a cool breeze, and there's a storm that's supposed to be an hour out, supposedly, according to radar. So I chose not to open the facility this evening. I guess it's a hit and miss on my part with not being able to predict the future, the weather, the conditions, or anything like that. But if we don't have more than 15, 20 people in the pool, we do look to send guards home. Obviously, I dictate the number of guards we have per the number of patrons we have in the facility, so we can save on that side. And if we do get busier, they are known that they have to be called back, or they could get called back to finish out their shift. They're scheduled for the whole day unless I say they're done for the day. So I guess that's my policy. In this situation, it was just it's a raw deal, and everything that was supposed to be here didn't show up. So I'm not sure what else I could do in that situation. Yes.
Bradley, that date you're talking about, that Saturday, how many employees did you have on hand?
That day we were all hands on deck, because we wanted to do great things. We had activities planned everywhere from a volleyball tournament to a basketball.
How many people would that be?
That day I had 13 guards and 6 concession stand workers.
All hourly people?
All hourly people, yep. And they all got there at 7:30 in the morning.
Sure.
And they were there until 2:45, 3 o'clock. Some of them left. I sent some home on some different hours and different times and stuff like that. But yeah, so we had everybody there expecting large numbers and large crowds, and it just didn't turn out that way. So.
I'm glad to hear that you talked to the gentleman. I was unaware that you had spoken to him, so I'm glad that you got a chance to talk to him too.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, not trying to micromanage by putting this on the agenda. I just want to make sure when there's a complaint that it's given a public hearing.
Right. For sure.
We talk about it.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody expects you to predict the weather.
Right.
I don't have any issues with what you're telling me. I don't think the council probably has any issues with what you're saying with regards to lightning and things like that. So you guys have any more questions or anything like that?
Didn't we have some rain that afternoon? I mean, it did kind of go around us, but
It rained.
we did have some rain.
It rained.
There was a little.
It rained right if we had that ceremony at 1 o'clock, and then right after that it rained. You know, and people disappear then when it rains, and you can't expect to stay open. And they were predicting more rain that night. I know. Because I was trying to keep up.
The one comment I did receive on it was that that's why people pay for season memberships, is so that the pool is staffed. They can rely on it to be staffed. That's why that's supposed to take care of that expense, that cost. They felt so.
And I understand. 100% what the concerns are, but at the same time, I don't know where we draw the line in the sand to say this is when we close and this is when we don't close. I can stay open with one person there until we get 20 people, but I don't feel that's cost effective.
Well, I think you addressed what my biggest question was that, as long as the employees understand that they can be called back.
Right.
That's
right. Yeah,
that's all good with me. So.
Sounds good. Any other questions? As far as that, the facility's going fine. We're picking up speed with the weather, and if you have any other questions or concerns or ideas throughout the course of time, don't be afraid to come find me. I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Bradley.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is discussion regarding traffic light timer settings. Again, this is another phone call I had. Somebody's questioning the timing of the lights at First Street Northwest and Highway 3 there, wondering if there was anything we could do to shorten that time, or what our options were there. He feels like he sits at that light quite often, especially late at night, early in the morning when there's not as much traffic there. And again, I talked with Doug about it, and he said, he reiterated again that our options at that light are pretty limited. So I see Randy's here. Did you have any other comments on?
It can be changed, and we switched it back and forth. The last council wanted it longer, so now we put it longer.
Okay. Yeah.
It's at 45 seconds right now.
Go ahead, Dick.
If there's no traffic,
3 stays open.
3, it's green on 3 all the time. Does it ever, in the middle of the night, it doesn't change if somebody traveling north and south doesn't trigger that.
Yeah, you got to pull up on the loop. That's another thing, if it's working properly.
Okay. Where's the loop at, Randy? Approximately.
There's one right on the sidewalk, or the crosswalk, and then there's one that's back just about, 10 feet, and the same on the other side of the road.
Okay.
We never had a problem on the south side. It's always the one on the north side. Okay. But now it's been working for the last 2-3 months.
Yeah.
We haven't changed it back. But it is set on 45 seconds.
Okay.
Anyway, you almost caused me to get a ticket when you switched it from 25 to 45, because I would count. I came up on that after you switched it to 45.
You're
and I
that
went
busy.
through the red light.
Wish I'd been there.
Change it back, Randy. Please.
But the parts aren't available. I mean, it's obsolete.
Yeah.
At KWS, he's just got parts available from when he takes one apart from some other town, he'll save the parts. And the last time he fixed something, he brought 3 of them, and 2 out of the 3 didn't even work. So they're shooting in the dark.
Okay. Another thought that I've heard a couple people talk about is late at night, if there would be any possibility of switching those to flashing yellow or
like
something.
Owl Falls does.
Yeah.
I don't think that's got a day clock or a timer in there.
Okay.
It's back before watches were made.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we can change the timing just, or the intervals.
Yeah.
Just not the time of day.
Nope.
Okay. All right, so take note of that, and I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that at this time, but.
So we had requests to move to the longer time frame. That's why we changed it.
And I talked to Russell, and he said that's been about 5-6 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
Do we get a lot of complaints, or is this?
I've gotten 2 phone calls on it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that that's something, a lot of people really even think to call about. So, like I say, I've gotten 2 phone calls about it in a little over a year now, so.
I guess, I grew up in Waterloo, Cedar Falls, lived in Minneapolis for a while. About every day, I'm grateful that there's only 2 sets of stoplights in Hampton, Iowa, so.
Like I said, I wouldn't think to necessarily complain about it, just because of the fact that, I just always think of a stoplight as it is what it is,
Right.
And I'll sit there as long as I have to sit there, unless it takes so long that I assume it's broke.
Or I don't see, Schaefer sitting anywhere.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Then we'll go, but.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm not stopping, period, but I'm just kidding.
Do you have to go like 15-second intervals on those, or can will you be at
I
45
think
seconds?
it's every 5.
Oh, you can do 5 seconds.
I think last time was at like 30 or 35. They wanted to up it longer. They said it wasn't long enough, so.
One thing that scares me is that last incident when it was down, and we did the, what did we do, the stop, the sign or whatever, there was confusion there.
Yep.
My opinion is let's just leave it alone, because there was so much confusion with that why change something that doesn't really seem to be broke?
Yeah. Again, that phone call, just wanted to make sure we got it out there, so that's right. All right. Thanks, Randy. Yeah, thanks, Randy.
Yep.
Update on city compost brush site burning practices.
Well, I don't have much of an update. Maybe Randy could touch on this. They began some burning of the smaller brush last week, and Randy.
It's all gone.
Okay, so it's
Except
been
for
burned.
what they brought back already.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
burned half one day and half the next day.
Okay.
And the wind was out of the south.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know about how long it took to burn all that?
We didn't push any more on the pile after like 11 o'clock, and just let it burn down to nothing. I mean, it smoked all night, but not like it used to, with all the big logs in it.
Okay. And no phone calls that we know of?
No. I asked Robbie today, and we haven't got any.
Okay.
No.
Well, good job then. Any other questions or comments on that item? Okay. Discussion regarding compost and brush site fee increase.
I don't really have any more update on that, unless you want to kick around the idea some more. I was going to do a little research on possible fee increases.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not sure if you still want to.
I don't know if this is Doug's item that he had on here. I don't know.
So we can, unless anybody has any questions, I really don't have much to add to that. I was on vacation last week, so.
I think I'd be in favor of some increase. I don't know where we go, because we haven't changed it for years. I think you mentioned that we're just covering staff's wages, if we're doing that, close to it. So I'd certainly be in support of this question of how much.
I think too, Dick, that people have to understand that if you don't want burning, there's going to be a cause or something that changes this. There's going to be a direct result. You have to pay for more chipping and grinding and stuff like that. So I think like you said, it's been this price since the day we opened it or started that fee. So maybe it's time to take a look at it, whether it's another quarter or what it is, I don't know. But you may want to look at fees for professional people too. You know, a slight increase, but I don't know where you go.
We're better off with this than we are with 50 fires going on, 100 yards all over town.
You want to have Ron put some models together, pricing models? Or?
It would help so we could justify, if we do decide, then we have a justification for it.
Get those ready, Ron. Anything else on that list? Okay. Next item is update of 2080 intergovernmental agreement for dispatching. Other than the wheels fell off, I don't know what else to tell you. County turned us down, and I don't really know where else to go from here other than to say tomorrow night is Emergency Management Commission meeting again. I did have Ron put out the possibility of a city council quorum tomorrow night. I'd encourage you guys all to attend. I'm a little confused on what they're seeking. I've got to go back and watch the video from this morning's supervisors meeting. But from what I understand in conversations with Ron, he was a little bit confused as to, even after being at the meeting, now hearing about this emergency, what they're looking for at the Emergency Management Commission meeting. It seems like they're allowing the lawyers to drive the bus at this point, which is frustrating because we've got a lot of elected officials who speak for the people of Franklin County who seem to be being ignored in favor of lawyers. So I don't know, Ron, do you have anything to add?
Well, I think I would encourage the council to go to YouTube and find the video from this morning's meeting and listen to it. I think it's 40-some minutes long, and just listen to it so you can get a perspective of their position. And then if you can attend tomorrow's EMC meeting, at least have an idea of Franklin County Supervisor's position prior to going into that Emergency Management Commission meeting. So I think the easiest way is to go to YouTube and then search Hampton Chronicle videos, and then you'll see that as one of the recent videos. So.
Yeah, and I did see shortly after 5 o'clock that the supervisors posted a possibility of a quorum of supervisors there as well. So I think they're planning on having both Corey and Mike there. So of course Mike's on the commission. But if Corey shows up, then that would be a quorum for them. So yeah, just encourage you guys to come out and ask your questions and be part of the discussion, because quite frankly, I really don't know where we go from here. So I really kind of thought we were heading in a good direction. So
We still battling on the one word, is that?
no, the lawyers have a lot more. Their lawyers have a lot more problems with it than ours do. You know, city attorney Mike Cross, one of the attorneys with the League of Cities. They both felt like it was a good agreement. And it sounds like there was a list of a few items that the county attorneys, County Attorney Wheatman and one of the ISAC attorneys sounded like they had several issues. It's kind of interesting because I think some of the issues that it sounded like they had put us back to earlier versions that the supervisors didn't like. So it's frustrating because it seems like it's a very simple process. It's a very simple end goal, and it should not be this difficult. Unfortunately, it's turning into be difficult. So,
Well, what I took from that this morning, one key thing was coming back to the Emergency Management Commission, whether they were supportive of even taking the responsibility of dispatchers.
The concept.
The concept of it. So hopefully that will be addressed one day. Do you know if it's on the agenda? I mean, that was very point blank.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because one of the things that's on that agenda for tomorrow night, I think, is whether or not to form a communications commission.
Bylaws and structure.
And bylaws, right, and bylaws and structure, and I think that's all been addressed previously. Now maybe the reasoning is because that was as the joint Franklin and Cerro County EMS. That's the best guess that I can take. Because like I said, these discussions have been going on for a long time, and I know we've had discussions at EMC meetings, and sometimes the EMC meetings and the 911 meetings kind of get confused because it's essentially the same people, and I'd really like to see if there's a way that those two entities could be combined, and I've been told that there's not. 911, of course, will play a role in it because they own the equipment. So what they decide to do with the equipment when they buy the new equipment in January plays a big role in this as well. So, but again, it's essentially the same people who sit on those boards. So, if you come tomorrow night and we're asking questions and we're talking about this, you're talking to the same people who will make that decision on the 911 board.
What time does their building close? I mean, is everybody out of there by 4 o'clock?
Over there?
Yeah.
Is it
I mean,
4 or 5?
Okay. I mean, just living there, I noticed, by 4 o'clock, there's usually no one there. So,
Right.
I mean, do you get that part of it is they don't want to have to be open 24 hours with the dispatchers in there? I mean, is that a cost factor?
Well, that would be an operations function that emergency management would have to decide, because it's emergency management. That would be a responsibility of emergency management. The sheriff has said that none of his people would be there. None of his employees, as far as the office goes, would be there.
I don't mean to sound ignorant, but this is something I just don't know.
Right.
Is that how other counties, are they out of there? I mean, do they just have, and I don't mean, like, I'll say school teacher hours, I'll insult myself. I mean, do all counties have that kind of hours that they're in there at like 7, 8 o'clock and they're out of there at 3, 4 o'clock? I guess my impression was, like I said, I don't know, that's why I'm asking, is that, facilities like that are 24-hour.
I would say that it varies because if you take Butler County, for example, they've got a full service jail, and deputies and office staff and dispatchers are in there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But that's a little bit different setup. They're organized differently. They have the dispatchers that are employees of the sheriff's department.
So if the county's called out, let's say, can they be called out at let's say 1 o'clock in the morning, Bob? And if they are, where do their prisoners go then? Do they come here?
The way that it currently works, their actual office is open at 8 o'clock in the morning. There is one deputy, the chief deputy usually comes out before that, but most of the rest of the deputies do not come out until 8 o'clock in the morning. Their office opens at 8, it closes at 4. They kept the same hours as what they did when it was at the courthouse. After 4 o'clock, there's a lot of the deputies that are gone home. Once in a while, depending upon their schedule, there might be a guy that's out from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 11 at night. Otherwise, somebody comes on at 7 o'clock in the evening. So there would be, or 5, there might be somebody there till 5, but then somebody comes on at 7. So there's a 2-hour gap. And then they go home in the evening, at night at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And so then there wouldn't be anybody out from that time until 8 o'clock in the morning unless somebody gets called out.
Okay, and so let's say they get called out then, where does and then let's say they have to arrest somebody.
All prisoners come here unless we're full or unless there would be mail dispatch or whatever, and then they would have to be taken to Hardin County, which is down in Eldora.
Isn't that the point of this though? Like I said, I'm just asking, I don't understand.
And
There's a lot of money was put into this. Isn't that, I mean.
Yeah, the point is, for me, a big part of the point is that the county has put a lot of money into a very nice structure over there. And I would think they would want it to be utilized to the full extent that they designed for it to be used for. You know, as far as dispatching, 911 has a need for some upgraded facilities. The city of Hampton has space needs with regards to what we're dealing with over here. And all of these, I think, really kind of started with, well, not started, but I think were confirmed by the recommendations of the Mulder report from a couple of years ago. I think the talks were going on and the idea was there long before Mulder, but I think Mulder just kind of put that experienced stamp on it, like, I've seen a lot of this around, and this is what you need to do. Just kind of confirmed that for a lot of people. So, yeah, I mean, they have the facilities over there to handle what you're talking about.
They just don't.
They just don't at this point, yeah.
They basically build it with the idea that someday it might go there. And they didn't want to go and not have those facilities there if it did. So instead of going spending money building the facility just for a sheriff's office, they also put that in there with the idea that someday it could go there.
That we would all be
Instead
one.
of having, well, I don't know about all being one, but so that they would at least have those facilities there and wouldn't have to add on to in order to make room for dispatch / holding facility.
Because I don't really get a lot of people give me a lot of complaints that even before I was on the council, that has been, I can't tell you how many people have approached me since I've gotten on the council and asked me what the real purpose of that building is. And it's, I mean, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but they are.
Right.
And
Basically to put the sheriff's office, their facility, all under one roof, because the amount of space that they had in the basement of the courthouse were totally, I mean, they were totally cramped for space, along with storage facility that they had other places and whatever else. So basically what it did was to put all of their things under one roof in one area so that it opened up space in the courthouse for other things.
and other things would be a 24-hour facility that's.
Over there,
Yeah.
that's,
I mean, that's just I'm sorry, but that is my opinion.
right.
Because otherwise, I'm sorry you're cramped for space. A lot of schools, a lot of other public places are cramped for space. But if we're not going to utilize it any more than they were over here, then to me that was a waste of money. And people really, that bothers people. That's just my take.
No, you're right. You're right. That's the viewpoint of a lot of people. So, yeah, go ahead.
You made a comment about the lawyers, and I'd have to, perspective, and I'd have to agree, because one of these lawyers from Des Moines brought up the Howard County situation with Osage, where there was a suit over, we didn't hear all the details of that, but one of the details that I became aware of after the meeting was over was, the bottom line is why there was a suit was, they didn't hire all the dispatchers. They cut one job, and that's the person who caused the suit.
Yep.
We're not talking about doing that here. So I'm hoping we get more details on that situation before they use that for a reason not to go ahead.
The one thing, and I heard you say Howard County and Osage in the same sentence.
Okay.
Howard County would be Cresco, Osage would be Mitchell
Well,
County,
you know-
so I'm not sure which one it is.
It's
but
Howard
Mitchell
County, it's Howard County and Cresco.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Howard County.
Yep.
Yes. That
Yep.
was correct.
Thank you.
Good.
So, yeah, I would, as we move forward, I would look forward to a little bit more daylight on a lot of the situation. I'm a little bit frustrated that all of these talks with these lawyers have gone on apparently behind closed doors. I would have liked to have had these lawyers there to address their concerns in person, you know. So moving forward, I would call for any meeting or negotiation we're going to have regarding this facility to be in public, with a public agenda. I don't think there's any reason not to be. So that's how I plan to move forward. Craig, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I think that, you know, Val kind of summed up everything that I've heard over the years as well, and that was what people were told, and that's what money was set aside for, was the type of center that you see. And I went to the open house when it was first shown to the public, and was told by a supervisor that at some point in time they do expect to have the dispatch in here. Okay, we're ready for that too, but what happened? Like the mayor says, the wheels fell off. Why? I mean, we're trying to look out for the employees. We give our word. We stuck behind that 2 different occasions now, and I think that we've done our part. You know, it's not for lack of the city trying if this thing goes to pieces. I don't know the reasoning. I wasn't privy to any of the conversations either, so I would be interested to hear maybe a little bit more detail tomorrow night, possibly.
Yeah, I think once I'll get a chance to look at that video and watch the meeting this morning. I don't know. We'll see. Any other comments or questions on that before we beat a dead horse?
What time's the meeting on that?
7 o'clock, I believe. Okay. And next is update on Butch Grokey Auto Body request to the IODOT. I was going to print off the email I received from a gentleman with the IODOT, and I forgot to do that. But the basic summary is at our last meeting we talked about how we may have to reach out to our legislators, talk about you know, our displeasure that the DOT was going to block Butch's request. So I did that, and talked with both Linda Upmeyer and Amanda Reagan, and shortly after my discussion with Senator Reagan, I got an email from a gentleman with the Iowa DOT basically saying that he would honor Butch's request with a couple of conditions. Basically what it amounted to was that he just agrees not to park across the sidewalk or whatever, park in the right of way, which, as we've stated before, we have local ordinances on this, and so it shouldn't be an issue in the first place. I think basically he would just be putting the property back to the way it originally was before Highway 65 South got redone, with the addition of some concrete. When it was Davies Manufacturing, I understand it was gravel across that entire stretch. So overall, I think it's a big upgrade. So, I think Doug talked with Butch last week after we got the email, and Butch is excited. I am going to I think try to schedule a meeting with the DOT and Senator Reagan and Representative Upmeyer, and I'll certainly make that known to the public. If there are any more requests along the same lines, I think, Dick, you mentioned that El Paisita had a similar request. But I think largely, for the most part, this is a city matter. I understand it's a state highway, but it's within the city limits of Hampton, and we have local ordinances to take care of what seems to be their concerns. So I don't know if there's any questions or comments.
I just find it odd that they had a problem with it, but yet we're the ones that are charged to enforce our ordinance for parking on their property.
Yeah. Right.
So you would think that if we're taking care of that, what would they care? They don't have a hand in it.
Well, I think what I would like to hear is more clarification on why they wanted to block it in the first place. Because once they heard from Senator Reagan, they certainly didn't have any problem giving way. And it shouldn't take that. And so I mentioned to both Senator Reagan and Representative Uppmeyer that maybe if there was something legislatively that could be done to rein in the DOT on some of this, and they kind of said most of it's regulatory, but legislation kind of creates regulations.
They create that. That's
exactly.
Right.
So, you know, we'll ask more questions and see what we can do. But in the meantime, I think Butch will get his request, and he'll be able to do what he wants to do, which is a good thing. So. You got anything?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Some new business. I had had a request from the Rotary. They wanted to know if they could have 1 or 2 golf carts, what they would like to do for a fundraiser, sell pop just before the parade for the fair. And I told him they would be doing that along the parade route. So we'd be talking about from the high school, basically down around through down Main Street and down First Avenue and down that direction. And what they had said was 1 or 2 of them, and it would be like maybe an hour or 2 before the parade. Technically, when the parade is actually going on, they're allowed to do that during the parade, but not at any other time. And I just thought that was something I need to bring to the council in order to have approval to let them do that. So.
Do you have a problem with it?
I don't.
Do you think this could become a problem? I mean, or with other people doing it, or other organizations, if you restricted it to a certain time, is that easier to handle?
I don't think as long as we restricted it, I mean, you know, or approved something like that during that event. Or the only other parade that we actually have, the only ones that I can think of are Memorial Day Parade and or the Holly Dazzle. Memorial Day Parade, I don't think we're going to be doing anything because, first of all, it goes down Highway 3, and I don't think we're going to be allowing them to do it on Highway 3, selling to people as they go down, as long as we go and leave it to this event. I mean, I guess I look at it from the standpoint, they've got little golf carts out there, or not golf carts, but go-karts, doing different, you know, things during a parade, entertainment type stuff, and I guess somebody going down there with a golf cart an hour or 2 before the parade, I guess I don't have a problem with that. And if they're doing things they shouldn't be with the golf cart, then we can address that. I mean, if somebody else, you know, were to do it.
Is this something we'd have to do, like an ordinance amendment or a change? Because typically we don't allow golf carts on the public road. That road would still be open.
Right. That is a good question that I don't have an answer to. I'd have to ask Mike.
Because I know some cities have passed ordinances to allow golf carts to be operational on roads as long as they meet certain criteria.
Right.
If it's an ordinance amendment, there wouldn't be enough time for 3 readings of an ordinance amendment. So, I mean, ask Mike if just a motion of the council to allow permission on that, I guess.
Okay.
Be about all we'd have time for. Isn't the fair the 17th? Starts 17th of July?
Yeah. 16th, 17th.
So the parade will be the 16th.
Yep. Parade to be on the 16th.
Anything else?
Tomorrow night, is there a library meeting tomorrow afternoon?
5:15.
Will there be more information? You have any idea, will there be more detailed information about the budget that they're working with, other than what we've already heard? And do you think it would be good for us to be represented there?
They will be, I have their agenda right here. They have outdoor reading area and parking lot under old business. And they have the adoption of their 13-14 budget and amended budget for 12-13.
What
So,
time is it again?
5:15.
Where's that at?
That's at the library. So yeah, any other questions or comments? If there's nothing else, we'll adjourn at 6:41. Thank you.